All right, ladies and gentlemen, the Bushel for your Mamunia Aquaba Kessie about HITV. So, some for HRFPK, His Royal Freshness PK. I'm going to be your host for tonight on this prolific show, Time with Taptap Send. And today's topic, it's about immigration updates under President Biden's administration. And I know, say, when it comes to immigration, every diasporan is looking forward to it and always wanted to hear what is going on and also pick up from one and two things that have been stated, updated, amended, and also see how best it can help them and their families. So this is great. Again, I also want to take this opportunity to remind each and everyone that next week we will be continuing with the military. So we did how to get into the U.S. military and also the process, the recruiting, the BMT. And now we're going to be talking about life in the military, then life after the military. So next week, buckle up, get your friends and family ones in so that we can all share good news about the sense of, or the purpose of serving, the sense of serving, and also the benefit it comes with as well. But today is about immigration update under President Biden's administration. So please, take this opportunity to call your friends and family to join us so that they can hear the information firsthand. We will be talking with lawyer Eric Oako, and he will be joining us pretty soon. But before we do that, I know so we have visitors in among us, so we'll be doing a Tree and English blend together, but mostly or mainly English. So please forgive me when I switch over to the local dialect. But about for us, I say, the NTA did you may every Monday you may I actually this a time with Taptap Send any feel good services. But say yeah, mental health and I say yeah, mental education. If you're looking for a speaker and I say baby sir, contact them on feelgoodservices@gmail.com. Feel good services now as also the feel good homes. If you're looking for luxurious apartments, if you're looking for customized condos, please again look no further but Feel Good Homes in terms of looking for a good location. East Legon Hills and also Pokwase. Even if you want to buy a land, yes, call them at 513-372-5758 or feelgoodservices@gmail.com. Happy Glow GH, where beauty is pronounced. If you're looking for your beauty cosmetics or beauty supplies, whether being pedicure, manicure, papa cure, mama cure, all the cures that you can think of, your facial beauties and everything that you can think of. They are located at Ashoman Estate Road, 20 meters away from Veggies and Grill, 20 meters away from the community hospital and right opposite from Veggies and Grill. Please, the men, it's okay for you to also get your pedicure, your manicure done. Oswald Wellness LLC is also asking, in case you live in Virginia, Ohio, those are the two states that they're licensed in. If you're looking for a family nurse practitioner, IV hydration, primary care, and weight management. Again, don't forget that next 2 weeks we'll be talking about weight management. So with Dr. Angel, I remember Angel, we had Angel about 2 weeks ago. So we will be meeting him next 2 weeks after the military part 2. So please contact Oswald Wellness LLC at 513-268-2740 for your health needs. In case you're looking for financial support in terms of fighting your financial ignorance in America, in terms of getting the good plan for yourself and your family, creating generational wealth, please contact Millicent, a licensed financial professional at 937-321-2270. Taptap Send. Taptap Send. The best, the fastest, the secured way to send money back home. In case you're looking for the best way to send money to your families and loved ones back home, look no further about Taptap Send. Taptap Send is the best and affordable way. Just go to your App Store, your Google Play Store, download the app, and go through the simple steps to actually, set up an account for yourself. And also, you can set up a FaceTime ID, whereby you can just, not FaceTime ID, not FaceTime ID. You can get your facial recognition in, and also get that to turn on your app, and turn it off as well, so that you can send money back home. Please use the promo code HRE. Another good news for those of you in the UK that are watching the show right now. I mean, those of you that may watch it later. Taptap Send has this wallet system, which is, to me, is the most brilliant thing you can ever do. Set up a wallet system. Put money in your account, your own account. You can put money in my account too if you want to. In case you have to send somebody money to, among yourselves in UK, you don't have to probably go to the wire system. And I hope very soon it's gonna get to the US. And once it gets to the US, it's also gonna be a great opportunity for us to actually send money across, within the Taptap Send, wallet, not to another bank account or anything, but within the Taptap Send wallet. And you can use any time that you have to, get access to it. And I hope very soon it's gonna get to the US as well. So Taptap Send wallet system or wallet pay is something great that I think it's coming on. Again, like UK being the mother parent for Taptap Send, it always starts over there, that triggers down to the rest of the countries, like part of Europe, and also Canada, USA, and Dubai being the new baby right now. So please download the app. Your first transaction, put the promo code PK, P-KY or HRE. And again, like Dr. David said at the time, we're coming up with a new system whereby if you don't get to use the code on your first transaction, you'll be able to use it later. But until then, please use it now, because if you don't, then you just misses the opportunity to get the $15 bonus on your first transaction. At this point, I'm going to hand over to Director David for him to give us the update with Taptap Send. Then after that, we will just roll into the main topic. But please take this opportunity to share this video, share this link to your loved ones. We are live on Taptap Send Ghana Facebook, HRTV Facebook, and also HRTV YouTube. So please share the Zoom link, and also share the Facebook and the YouTube link as well. Thank you very much. Director David, welcome to the show.
Okay, good evening. Thank you so much for such a warm intro. A few things before we start today's show. I'm gonna jump ahead and attack the obvious. I'm sure every single person on this call, maybe we ask PK.
Every single person get a free money. Oh, sorry, my bad. I just jumped the gun.
We're gonna alternate.
I hear every single person that get excited. I'm sorry.
This is not a good stuff. Every person on this call has an affiliation with Ghana or might be Ghanaian. Unfortunately, we saw what happened. We all somehow, if you haven't, we experienced an internet outage in some part of some West African countries. Ghana happened to be one of them. So it was Ghana, I believe, Nigeria, Ivory Coast, Liberia. I forgot all the entire countries. But how it works is our entire infrastructure needs an internet to work. So we work with the likes of MTN, Vodafone, and all these internet providers out in Ghana. So what happens is when the internet goes out, it affects all of us. It affects us here who work with our local MTOs, and also affects the loved ones. People like you have more frail people on WhatsApp. It was, PK, I don't know if you experienced it or not, but it was really rough this past couple of days. So our goal is, I want to get ahead of it. We want to, even though this was happening, I believe it started Thursday. Was it Thursday? Yeah, Thursday and Friday. Even though it happened on those days, transactions were still going through. I would say about 60 to 70% of transactions were going through, but some weren't going through, which is a really high number of margin of error. 30 to 40% of transactions are going through based on the traffic that we're doing. It's a big problem for us, at least for the Ghana corridor. So we are actively resolving, and I don't know if you guys have noticed, if you call people back home, they would attest to there's been some marginal improvements, I think, since Friday and even Saturday. Yesterday was also significantly better, but we are looking to, on our part, we're doing everything we can to push transactions through MTOs that work in Ghana. Sorry, give me 1 second. Let me turn this off. To MTOs that work in Ghana. So ideally, we don't want this to happen again. Granted, it's not in our control, but we don't want this to happen again. The reason why I haven't sent communication out is because we want to make sure we have the right communication out. before we send information out, that will come across as if the issue is Taptap Send exclusive. It's agnostic across all providers. So some remittance company may work when you try them, even including us, and sometimes it may not work based on the internet outage. Any questions so far before we talk more about the good stuff? This is what happened to us. That wasn't great this past couple. Any questions, please feel free to raise your hand. Ask. You can also share your experience when it went down, if it, how it affected you individually. It looks like everybody was good. Nobody had an internet outage. Even PK didn't have one, so that was great. Oh, Raymond. There you go.
Raymond, please go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yes, Raymond, you might be on mute. Hi, Raymond.
Okay, I guess when he's ready, we'll probably get back to him.
He'll come back to me for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, so and lastly, I will talk about the rates. We're being aggressive with the rates, as you can see. Hi, Isaac. Boy, looks like you have something to say. Nice to meet you. Good evening. We've been really aggressive with the rates, as you can see. So thanks for supporting us. It's a big thank you. Today's topic is around immigration, which is very sensitive. It looks like our honorable guest is here. I'm not sure, Council. I don't know if you're leaving the office or you're coming back to the office. So thanks for making the time for us. Thank you. And PK, thanks for putting this together. We understand the sensitivity around immigration in the US. So I'll give it right back to you. And Lawyer Eric, whenever you're ready.
Sure.
All right. Lawyer, thank you. Director, thank you for the updates and also the quick information given to us. At this point, Lawyer Eric Oako, welcome to the show, Time with Taptap Send. This show is proudly and heavily sponsored by Taptap Send, and we are pleased and honored to have you in the midst. How are you doing today?
I am very good, PK, and thank you, and thank your listeners for joining in today. I'm actually a customer of Taptap Send. I didn't know that they were actually the sponsors of this program, so happy to be here.
Thank you. You've always been a great, patronage of HRTV and everything that we do from day one since 2017. And thanks for supporting everything that we do. I know it's been a long time coming, over almost a year, trying to get you on the show, and we finally did. So please, we want to know from you. The floor is yours. What are the updates under President Biden's administration?
Sure. PK, today I have seen at least 20 to 30 clients today. All of them part of President Biden's immigration policy and what is happening now. So my first statement is that there's a lot going on in the immigration spectrum. And Biden has been very good to immigration law. Unfortunately, you only hear about the border issues, and it makes everything he's trying to do go quite bad. There has been series of changes that the administration has come up with since Biden became president. And it is about time people get to know about it. It should also inform us as we go forward with the next election coming up. I will start with what Biden inherited after he took office. If all of you will recall, COVID happened. President Trump was then in office, and his administration came up with series of immigration restrictions, which affected almost everybody in the US. Let me start with the first was the Muslim ban. There was a ban on specific people from different Muslim countries from coming to the United States, including students who were actually denied visas because of the Muslim ban. Now, that ban definitely ended up in court with a little bit of remnant when Joe Biden took office, and he made sure the Muslim ban It looks like somebody's hands is up. Well,
Raymond,
Can you hear me now?
yeah, we can hear you. What was your question, please?
Oh, okay. I've had a problem with Tap Send. It was working. I live here in Texas. It was working, and I was able to send money to my friend, and then all of a sudden it quit working. And for some reason, it says it quit working. I can't figure out why it's not working now.
Okay, so what's going to happen is somebody's going to contact you privately, is going to message you privately and communicate with you on that one, okay? And after the lawyer is done, we're going to actually have a platform whereby people have a Q&A session and ask questions concerning Taptap Send, okay?
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, you good. That's fine. That's fine. The lawyer actually called you to speak, so that's okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, lawyer, continue.
All right, so the first policy change was to get rid of the various ban on Muslim immigrants coming to the United States. After that, the next policy change has to do with the policy on what they called, hold on, it just escaped my mind, 1 minute. Sorry, I'll come back to it later on. But there was a policy on poverty, likelihood of becoming a burden to the United States if you are migrating to the United States. It is called public charge. Now, this public charge provision was introduced by the Trump administration to make sure that people migrating to the United States are not likely to become a burden to the US government. In that scenario, the application required that people who are migrating to the United States, whether you are filing for adjustment of status or you are doing a consular processing, you will have to meet a certain financial requirement and educational requirement. It also used as a yardstick to deny people who had medical conditions from coming to the United States. So people who petition for their parents, just sometimes by looking at the age of the parents alone, was considered to be a likelihood of public charge. And all these people were denied visas at various stages at the embassies, and it was one of the worst policies that you can think of. As soon as Biden came into power, he decided that the provision for public charge should be discarded. And so that provision is discarded. Even though it is part of green card application, now it is just a simple question whether you are subject to public charge, and then information is collected, but it is not used to deny someone's green card application. The next provision that Biden also changed for the better is the asylum process. Under President Trump, there was a policy whereby people seeking asylum who are crossing the borders have to seek asylum at the neighboring country, wait at a center there to be processed. And if your application is granted, then you are let in. Now, this caused a lot of people to get stuck in Mexico, where they were subjected to criminal gangs, harassment, some were even killed, robbery, and other forms of hardship. Under Biden, the policy went back to the Obama policy, whereby you can cross to the United States, you will be processed at the point of entry, and if you have a credible case, you continue with your asylum application, and you are likely to win your case if your case is credible. Now, this is what has led into so many people crossing the border and making it a border crisis. But at least it is quite better than what we used to have under the Trump administration. When you move on to the next level we are talking about adjustment of status. Now, adjustment of status under Biden's administration is streamlined. In this current situation, whereby you don't have, once you are married to a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident and you are pursuing adjustment of status in the U.S., almost about 60 to 70% of the interviews are now waived if you can demonstrate that your marriage is in good faith and you're able to submit documentation to support your marriage.
Lawyer,
this has also,
lawyer, now kind of
hello.
now kind of made the bit me a boho trimu. Am I minum at ye?
Right. Well, so under Biden's administration, a new policy has been instituted. So what worry na OJ Okrata and yenina and our interview. About 70% of 1 hour no and interviews to say. So we between file a case. Now the documents are won't here to show say our papa. Your interview is waived.
Yes, I know ya nipa no Ghana na se kroman say.
Nipa no krom ha.
Okay.
Ghana
wa waru Ghana okofa di kuna ba de.
Obeko interview
Okay.
Ghana. But Sonia kono wo krom ha na file man wo krom ha. Ufa o worry now all the credible document as support to application about 70% yeah for interview.
Yeah, that's it. Proceed.
And that is saving a lot of people currently. It is saving them in terms of timing for processing, and at the same time the anxiety of attending interview, sometimes the fear of even speaking to immigration officers. So says the next policy, Biden as the buyer interview at the embassy. If you can recall, by the time Trump was getting out of office, interview process at the embassy level now a stopping for almost 2 years. Even though Corona got better, the embassy was still not interviewing people. Under current circumstances, yes, there are still backlog cases, but the interviews are coming. The embassies are working, and people are getting more dates than it used to be. And we believe that as time goes by, it is going to get better. We move from green card, and now we go to deportation.
Lawyer, before you back on deportation, under green card, right? What about
Yes.
omo faliama omoma? Ebia senior citizens omo faliama omoma the green card about Kroman saying no. It used to be a long backlog on that. Is it still like that?
So you see, we have what is called consular processing. If you are filing for a petitioner, a beneficiary who is outside the United States, that person goes through consular processing. First, you have to file the I-130 petition in the US. When it is approved, then you move on to the consular section. The problem is that and yet Obian or filemana or qualify immediately to come. There are what is called preferential categories in immigration. There are people who don't have waiting period, and they are the husband and wife of US citizens, children under 21 years of US citizens. When can go under preferential category? You move then to adult children of US citizens. Then you go to husband and wife of green card holders and children under 21 of green card holders. Then you move to green card holders, children who are more than 21. Then from there, you go to married children of US citizens, and then you go to brothers and sisters of US citizens. So the rule is very simple. If you are a permanent resident You can file for your children who are not married. It doesn't matter the years or how old they are. But if they are younger than 21, they will come quicker than those who are more than 21. Number two, if you have a husband or wife as a green card holder, you can still file for the husband or your wife. And those people will come faster than some other categories. In fact, currently, so filing Ukun as a green card holder, the waiting period is less than a year after your case is approved. Now, when you move from green card holder, okay, no, another caution. Green card holder cannot file for their parents. You cannot file for your children who are married, or you cannot file for your brothers and sisters. If a green card holder, if file now whilst the case is pending, neba no warrior, that petition is automatically ended. You will have to refile the case when you become citizen for that child who got married whilst the petition was still pending. As a citizen, you can petition for your husband or wife, your children under 21 years, or your parents. So, three group there is no waiting period for them until as soon as the I-130 petition is approved, Ubetumia proceeded to do the next stage, which is the embassy process or the consular process. After that, the first priority goes to your adult children who are not married. From adult children who are not married, the next preference goes to your married children who have 21 years and above. And then the last preference goes to your brothers and sisters. So these are the categories.
So,
now,
go ahead.
Now, there are waiting lists for all the preference categories. The waiting list is the fact that every year you have a number of visas which is allocated to each category. If the number of visas is used up, American government don't add more visa numbers to it. If a section is not used, they add that number to the following month category. And there is a lot of waiting time for different categories of people who are waiting in line for visa to come. But Biden did something amazing with that. Biden made sure that there are some countries going through difficult times. So if you have a petition pending for your relative within those countries, a process whereby you can file an expedited case and do affidavit of support and get the person here until they qualify to apply for green card. I'm talking of countries like Haiti, Venezuela, and a few other countries.
Ghana,
part of Ghana and Cameroon. It was to deal with the crisis that Haiti was going through, crisis that Venezuela is going through, and I think a few other Hispanic countries. One with me file it expedited process even though you have not, they don't immediately qualify for the visa, and they are able to get a visa, come to the United States, wait until it gets to their turn in order to continue processing the green card application.
So what I was gonna say, you post the topic, right? Fly at the bar out of them. And obi test me catch me say actually friend me catch me say wa falia maneba na neba na you approving over since 2020 say 2019 mo back and they approving the ban, but still neba na interview date e Ghana. So I was like, hey, 4 years they ask a bisa, I don't know, but the ban year over 40 into I don't know say be a waiting list and I say be because it's a when you didn't see
two factors. First one, because of COVID, there is a backlog of one qualified to come on interviews. So interviews, remember, as I said, for almost 2 years came to a standstill. And when Biden took over, interviews started trickling in little by little. Still, embassy, it's not up to the full speed. So there's backlog for people who actually qualify to come today, but one interview is delayed. That's number one. Then number two, as I said, when you file for your adult child, even though they are proven, when the priority number induces, that person is not eligible to apply for visa and come. So that also creates additional waiting period. And then number three, under Trump, he actually suspended all the consular processing for adult children, for brothers and sisters, and for married children. So all those people that are cancel visas, no cry say, when you're qualified to come now. Biden has reinstated that. And so now if you have filed for your adult child or trained for a long time, the process can continue. The same way if you did for your parent, of course, that is also continuing. And your brothers and sisters is continuing, but there is backlog due to that pause in processing of those cases. And it can be one of those factors why the woman's child is still waiting.
Okay.
Or two, there's backlog of one way do on so they are still waiting for interview dates.
Okay.
So we move now from green card applications to court. As a Tier 4 would know, immigration has two interfaces. The first one is the Department of Homeland Security, which is the USCIS, Immigration Service. Or file your application, it goes through. But if you are in the United States and your application doesn't go through, or even there is an issue involve your case, you may end up on deportation. The same happens to those who actually enter the United States without a visa, they cross the border. All those people are facing immigration court cases. Now, immigration court is under Department of Justice. And here, Biden has also done a lot of work under his administration. The first one, notable, bringing back what is called prosecutorial discretion. Under Biden administration, if you have a case pending with the court,
30 insurance companies were unwilling to underwrite the bond tonight. New York
Wait, Pacho, Obi Mike hard.
Leaves some of Trump's properties if he's unable to pay the judgment. ABC senior investigative court.
Go ahead. Lawyer, I think so you're muted.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So under Biden's administration, under Trump administration, the issue of prosecutorial discretion was totally off the table. Prosecutorial discretion is when the immigration lawyers working for the US government decides that these people are not priority for deportation. So let's either close their case or temporarily halt their deportation in order for them to qualify for something better to apply with the immigration judge. Under Biden, the prosecutorial discretion is back. So there are so many cases whereby immigration lawyers can actually request for your case to be closed or for even the proceedings of deportation or removal proceedings against you be totally dismissed in the court. You are not getting your green card, but you are not being deported. When a case is dismissed against you, it means that you can, if anytime you qualify for green card based on different grounds, you can reapply. You don't have to come to the court. You can go straight to immigration service and apply and get your green card through them. Now, this has saved a lot of families. In fact, under Trump, there are cases where I did that the person had family members here, have children here, didn't commit any criminal offense, but they still went ahead and deported those type of people. Under Biden, those type of cases get totally dismissed, or it gets administratively closed until something better comes up, making sure that family stays united and they are still together. Divya Eboa a lot. At the same time, within the removal proceeding spectrum, the immigration judges and the trial counsels are more lenient than it used to be under Trump. And you're able to work out more solutions for your client better than it used to be. So that is another policy under Biden's administration when it comes to the courts. The next thing is the student visa. As you all know, under Trump, the student visa became one of the hot buttons, whereby a lot of students with admissions to attend schools in the US were either denied visas or were not even given opportunity at all to attend for interviews. Now, student visas have actually increased. Foreign students are now coming to the US more than the past few years. And the government is more willing to give student visas than the past. So there has been a tremendous improvement also on the student visa scheme. So all in all, almost all the policies under Biden has been positive for immigration and for immigrants. Unfortunately, the border crisis has taken over the entire story, and you don't hear about the rest of the policies that he has brought to benefit immigrants. This is the brief update under Biden's administration.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. This is very thorough and also well detailed. I know, sir, before we let you go at the end of the show, we'll get your details for people to contact you for consultations, one-on-one person, because not everybody wants to ask a question in public. So we have 2 hands up right now, and we have a couple, questions from YouTube, Facebook, and Zoom. So I'll call upon Michael. Michael had his hand up first. So Michael asks his question. Then after that, Agota will ask his or her question. Then Rosina will come. Then after, we're gonna get the rest of the questions from Zoom, Facebook, and all the stuff. Michael, unmute yourself and ask your question, please. Michael. Well, if Michael is not ready, then Agota, can you unmute yourself and just ask your question, please?
Good evening, everyone. Please, can you hear me?
Oh, good. So it's a female, yes.
Very well.
Yes, I'm a lady. Pacho, good evening.
Good evening.
Please, I'm in UK, and I was just wondering, I'm very, very curious about childbirth and nationality. I often read some articles about some, how can I say, countries. Originally, I'm from Italy, so you might hear my accent is a bit here and there. And for example, I'm an activist. So, for example, in Italy, it's not allowed for kids to have a nationality at birth. But I know that that is allowed in the USA. So I just want to have some information. How does it run? How does it happen? I'm not sure if this question could be asked here openly like that, but if someone is interested, for example, to have a child at birth with US nationality, maybe how to go through that and all that.
All right.
Can I come in?
No, let you answer the question first, please.
Okay,
Okay.
so after let me come in. Michael here. Thank you.
Okay. So the answer to your question is that in the US, we still recognize birth in the US, even if it happened within the airspace of the United States, the child is born US citizen. It does not matter the immigration status of the parents. Both parents can be illegal immigrants. They have just crossed the border today, or they are in a flight that has just entered the US airspace. If you give birth, the child is a US citizen. Now, Trump wanted to change this birthright policy. Unfortunately for him, he lost the elections. The fear is that it can be reintroduced if he has the chance. But as it is today, the law is still the same. If a child is born within the airspace or the territorial space of the United States, the child is a US citizen. Now, the question is, how does somebody take advantage of this very generous citizenship rules of the United States? Number one, you cannot come here for the sole purpose of giving birth in order to give citizenship to your child. Number two, if you are coming as a visitor with a visitor's visa, you are not required to receive free medical care as part of your visitor's visa status. If you plan to have a child here, you should pay for the medical bills of the birth. If you do not do that and you return back to your home country, on your next visa application, the the consular officer can use the birth of the child and the non-payment of medical bill to deny your visa application. So that is the rule here. In that case, you have benefited unlawfully from the United States medical system, and you can use, that can be used to deny your visa application in a subsequent application. That is all. Otherwise, you are welcome to seek good medical help in the US and pay for it. That is fine.
All right. So, Michael, thank you.
Right. Thank you, lawyer. Good evening.
Good evening.
My question is, when you had the first green card, normally they give you 2 years. After 2 years, you go for removal of temporal restrictions or something. Okay. So, what duration, after renewing the 2 years, what duration would you get at 10 years? Okay, let me come in again. There's something called extension that the person's got extension. Okay, extension for 4 years without the card of the 10 years that I think they said you can get. So I want to find out what duration with that 10 years card comes. Is it after the 4 years or during the 4 years extension on a paper that you get the 10 years? Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. So there is part truth to what you said and part, I would say, misinformation there. Number one, when you are married to a US citizen and got your green card based on your marriage, it depends on the time and how many years the marriage has taken place in order to decide which type of green card you receive. If your marriage is less than 2 years at the time you got your first green card, you receive what is called a conditional green card. If it is more than 2 years, you actually get a 10-year green card, and you don't have to file for removal of condition. So your question goes to those who got their green card under 2 years of marriage. If you obtain your green card less than 2 years of your marriage, you receive a 2-year green card, or what is called a conditional green card. Under the rule, 90 days before the expiration of the 2 years, you are supposed to file for a removal of condition, or the Form I-751, application to remove condition on permanent resident status. Now, with this application, you have to prove that you entered into the marriage in good faith and that you are still married, or if you are divorced, but the marriage was a valid marriage. Or if you are going through abuse, you have to also document that you are married to a US citizen or a green card holder, but you are going through abusive relationship. Based on the assessment of the documentation you have, it takes between 12 months to 3 years for this process to complete. In fact, it used to be less than 3 years, but because of the backlog of cases, now they extend the green card for you for almost 3 to 4 years. During the pendency of the 751, if your if your green card from the beginning is 3 years or more, and you are still married to your spouse, and you have all the joint documents and you file tax together, you can actually apply for citizenship at the same time whilst your case is pending. In that case, the immigration will interview you and your spouse at the same time. And when the 751 is approved, they will re-interview you the same time for your citizenship. If not, you have to wait until the 751 is fully adjudicated before you can apply for your citizenship. So the period is between 1 to 3 or 4 years, depending on the backlog and how long it takes. There is no standard time frame for the completion. Also, on a 751, most people are being called for interview. So it is always advisable for people to know that I may be called for interview. And so make sure you keep your records and your documentation intact.
Okay. Thank you. Michael, can you please lower your hand for me? Oh, okay, he already did. So the next person is going to be Rosina, Charles, then Godson. And let me check the chat too. Rosina.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Pacho, me 2016, and I'm a crew fire mammy. Me made the NA our pie, yet, Sikawa, near our pan, and 2016 of file man. Inti ye call interview. Na ye giant pictures, inti was a miku for banty, a buy an essay, I late, inti almost say, young quabonti 1 o'clock yemra. Inti lawyer and so or program into you want to mean change to more risk no more risk ye call no. And now, me say, another bay, a call I could see 2017. Into 2017, we no more day, I didn't mind. No more day, I didn't mind, no more call me crew documents. Muno, say, worry, a jive into no more jessa, marriage certificate. So I could go to Ghana. Into me to me, who near or me call court to say, I didn't a chain into no more me call court to say, then one lawyer and the class will name me into or me call a court. Into omede yanko to do omo share me say memra me kwa lawyer na ma oso o hifa baby ye adwumenti ye won risk adi biem enu mu na covid ne baaye no enwo me betwa bibia mu be 2 years nti edu tam omo share me August 1st bi nti me ye kono edu say ye kono mo say me case na dismiss nti no me ni we bia nti no omo sign e de me a share 2025. Now, I want to person maybe say at this time, 2025 in so yen. Make to me, I felt lawyer bet to me aboa me. Na ma jemen krata because I'm approve me. Me call interview no more. Tama we no omo de me call court no. Omo say bibia ti yesan bibia to mu foforo ye bibia foforo. Inti ya call interview no more approve me. Inti omo approve me so asem wo court. Inti green card ni entumi ma inti ni I say me renew authorization ewu away October be e wo say me sanko renew green card ni mai nti person me hu say me fa lawyer betumi aboa me na menya me green card na say me ntwan sa date o me dem me 2025 yi me pacho me question because obi enim lawyer no kwa so obi mi nti o me dem yakọ court obi enim.
Okay, so Mami Rosina, the answer to a question is one of the easy ways for them to take you to court and it's you deny a case. From the Aoka terminal, it means it's whilst lawyer and the zone to mean China at the end. Along the way, won't deny a green card application. And looking at you do court no. Now, say okay, our court. Now say you approve our area number 1. And I will also say our area be approve na our papa. Obi no one more our bonia immigration be approve amount. Into our any our papa send your profile in so file one day our papa.
Yeah.
Now, as I say I approve case amount who qualify, I'm hoping that there's no any other issue. Say unya lawyer bet to me after so see me no kasa me can be for prosecutorial discretion abaho. You bet to me add dismiss case na court na ma. Now what me your green card as immigration for her. And when he has to bet 2025 and sign up for court. It is a lawyer nya sama wa I approve case ama wa me pacho. And lawyer for
Lawyer,
front.
me to me what the could
Auntie Rosina.
Yes.
Wait a Mr.
Yes.
Me try no for no be questions na doors into no. Mr. say you the number better hold on. Now I contacted me for consultation. Now ni need come from that side why me patch why. And I mean person obeka baby na say wonsem bebre e wa bonte.
Yeah, Dawson. Yeah.
And just say be a doors me person do wonsem beto abonte bebre into the Mr.
Yo.
But I say into the number to na Mr. transfer akosisi baby na waje information na kasa na wetima ma good consultation and advice on how to go about it.
In private. Okay.
Yeah, but I say. All right, into Charles. Hello. For your question.
What that's what I'm about. You buy idea that must be more. Maybe I'm more update here. My coming trouble. I'm more question the man lawyer. Na Mr. Serbia. I bet me have one here. No, me back. I want Ghana na me parliament on. Na bro. 21. I said they all come. Na process in one aware. And I want to. Na they back for academic support uniforms and feeling and I are feeling. Now I'm feeling form no na is 20. I can't say 1 year say only free. Yeah, but
Eja Charles. On common baby and I'm no hetero. And to better expect to say only lawyer and Gaza private why.
My man no answer Kitwe.
Also be more answer Kitwe binti nya na ma Gaza private was why. Me da say.
The US government, immigration law, one of the rules I want to say we can throw when we apply for visa and a green card automatically, no immigration for as so won't deny a case. That's one. And trocha immigration achiwade.
okay.
Most of the time, I better so be kind of crack essence say we can throw. That's number one. Clients be say no one by your day na one who. Nyameka chawani say US government oka enam highway so not me the satellite who plate number so pewa. The beer one more who have you who are oka so be who are own. Most of the time, even with marriages in Ghana, so one co interviewer, if you hold my own who say, worry. And about Sana so say, worry, yeah, we can throw and year one. Okay, so that's so worrying thing. I'll qualify say, it do so, but when they were no man in Abba. And thrown into Nano so Abako say. And in America, Tiffany say, you better say, a better no crack. In our applications, even though I know that China call next kakra, better essence say the better draw ewo. And repamuno, yeah, the number back to her, put me framing near to me and near my say to make sure say that you be no or how be my application way so.
Okay, yeah, that's it. So you better call Godson. If you Godson, you better call Frank. No, after Godson, maybe we did 2 questions. Now you call Frank, Mariam. Me patcho, I 7 minutes. Into Mr. Yema questions near short. So now lawyer is still in the office and he has to go finish some clients up. Into I 7 minutes, why 45 minutes per into no. I 7 minutes near the area to Mr. Godson. Oh yeah. Now your friend is saying you we did 2 questions. Now for the about Frank and Mariam ne Ruth. See if there is still time. Frank, Godson, me patcho, or mute yourself.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Lawyer, I have 2 questions to ask.
Okay.
Lawyer, if somebody file application for adjusting of status by getting married to a US citizen and the person was scheduled to come to an interview and they did not appear at the interview, what happened next? And my last question is, we've been seeing some message across that application fee is going to be increased from next month going. Is there any truth about this thing?
Thank you very much for the question. The first one, if somebody is a no-show for that person's interview, what happens next? Now, if you don't show up for interview, or if you don't even show up for court, for interview, your case is denied. For court, you get deportation order or removal order. So it is always good to show up or to give reason why you cannot show up on time. So in this case, if you have an interview for green card and something has happened which will make it difficult for you to attend, there are ways to let immigration know and to change the date. But let's assume that you have interview coming up. You didn't show up in court, for the adjustment interview, your case will be denied. That's one. So case, you deny your case under Trump administration, near forward your case no straight at the court deportation side. Then they will call you for deportation and after for removal proceedings. Under Biden, and na court. Say there's substantial fraud in case more. And I say criminal issues more and no one they call for deportation. Otherwise, you deny a case now, you deny. So you deny a case, and so I amount 30 days to appeal. There are cases I bet me appeal and I bet me file what is called motion to reopen or reconsider. It depending on your circumstances. So one year and mubia as a time no pound there. And I just also restarted the case from scratch. The first answer. The second answer, yes, immigration fees go up starting from April 1st. In fact, they have to receive your application before March 31st if you are going to pay the current rate. Different rates and eba. And Obia can say immigration fees is going up. No correct. One adjust to reflect inflation, and some of the fees are going up.
All right. Pacho, Uncle Charles, tell me the one side to how my emotional way, reaction way, Frank, on mute to solve. Then after that, I'll read some questions. Then we'll come to Mariam and Ruth.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good.
Yeah. Pacho, Mr. Pastor Kakram, Person Bisala, and say, Obi a great card holder, and I say, Mawale, Obi a only crata, one in the war bar, on should be me any great card. And
Frank, I said, obet me your reaction if you saw my say.
Frank, the answer is yes. So you're a green card holder. Good to me worry, as I said, sir.
Lawyer Damuto.
Okay. So if you're a green card holder, as I said, it was my introduction, green card holder, out to me file ma oye and I will come. Oma I am worried. So my worry, a cover 1 year under 21 and above 21. The issue is that Sonia Kuno, Ghana, it doesn't matter. You can go ahead, file for the person, the time was swan or beba. The trick is when the person is in the United States. If Oire and I ukun and I bano US, Nasa Nevisa emuya, the person can get the green card here, even though you are a green card holder. So for example, Oire and I ukun a student. And our ba is under 21 years or a student, our house with a student visa. Put me the green card no file man. Ama was our green card holder crampono. A bit to me do no so. Ama watching a green card e kromha. But Sanivisa no ewa. The person cannot get the green card here unless you become citizen. Enti so wire and I will kun na ne visa no de buy na wu a. As a green card holder, you can only file the I-130. No what change. We are citizen we are and son about to file for green card. The same way, say Oba under 21. E will chrome hanamo. We are green card holder. We to file only the I-130. We are citizen we to also I'm file for the green card application. And just I say, who the green card file ma obi an visa expire. Ebomwa, we both green card and I-130 and the I-485 together. You bet in any case and may end up also getting to go through the court for removal hearing. And who he has been with say, as a green card holder, I'll be to file ama. But an investor would I just why a citizen and son will be to apply for the green card.
Okay. Lawyer, my name is about 7. How much time na bet me Eddie Achai as injury time?
Yan twaso.
Lawyer, that's because questions now does and now me pedia. Me pacho hold on. Okay. Me pedia anka ye be answer bia the question amano. Na che say obia ho ato because sabe untina omunyina eba ye ntino say if what time me dia and me da say I'm reading questions see kakra ye we are ye be call your friend is Mariam Ruth na afede Ade New Jersey Michael minimisa one started from old one and answer bibisa but if a new one please let's give those ones or mumbusa question ya more chance no be enti busa ba na say we na tabo ha na Michael dey yes so e dey atububium. Also now I will plead with everybody say what question about busa and you be there edin say then you should just use that to marginalize your friend and say answer and so now for so bet me because questions no be on Facebook any personal messages I want for SNS and by my video and we are not we go on from there. But Patrick was sending me audio via my phone, so me audio no because I'm on live. Me audio no. So if you send me audio for me to play there for your question there, then you have to type it. Why? Question about what me want to say. I do have a cousin who applied for the visa lottery and won. He went through the process and received a letter that his process was with the KVC, and they will reach out to him with an interview date. This has been since 2020 and there has been no response. Should he forget about it or what? I don't see. He checks online and it says they are still processing.
So the answer to this gentleman is very unfortunate. Those who actually won the DV lottery during COVID actually got a very bad deal because the embassies were closed. There was no way to get them to be interviewed. But the DV lottery law is that it starts the application process from October and ends in December of that fiscal year. So if you win a lotto and the processing starts from October and after September you have not been interviewed, you have bad luck. There is no way you'll be able to get that visa because the law that designed the DV Lotto only give it that 1 year from October to September. Now, under COVID, a lot of people could not have interviews, even though they won, they did everything. Now, some of them took the matter to court here. Immigration lawyers like us filed lawsuit against the government saying that it is not their fault that they could not be interviewed. So look at it and give them a chance to be interviewed. As of today, no court has ruled in favor of those calling for interview. So if I am to be blunt, I will tell you that he should forget about it because the fiscal year has elapsed, and if your interview doesn't happen within the fiscal year, the law doesn't make exception.
Okay, thank you. So then Isaac Yabua goes to say, please, can J1 visa holder apply for green card? The
answer is yes. Somebody will ask, what is a J1 visa? Now, a J1 visa is an exchange visitor. Now, an exchange visitor can be subject to what is called a 2-year residency requirement, or sometimes may not be subject to any restrictions. Now, J1 visa are those who come to the United States as an exchange student, or they are participating in a program which requires them to come and acquire some knowledge and transfer it back home to their home country. If you are here as a J1 visa and you are not subject to the 2-year requirement, you can do your green card application without any problem. Who are the people who qualifies under this? At the end of every summer, students come from Ghana to do summer jobs. There are programs that brings all these students to come and work for a few weeks in order to gain some experience here. Most of these programs is not subject to the 2-year requirements, especially if you did not benefit any financial assistance from the Department of State or from your home country. The rest of the J1 visa holders are subject to the 2-year requirement. That means that either the US State Department spent money and resources on you with the hope that you go back and transfer your skills, or your home country spent money to bring you here with the hope that you return after your duration of study. If you want to apply for green card, you need to apply for a waiver of that 2-year residency requirement, either through the Department of State or through your government, which will issue what is called no objection letter. Other than that, who file for green card here in the US, it will not be approved without a waiver.
Okay.
And in that case, you will have to return back home, stay for 2 years before you can apply to re-enter the US, either as a visitor or as a green card holder. So yes,
Okay.
the answer is yes, but you need a waiver of the 2-year requirement.
Okay. So Fire, say, what is the process time for filing for your parent as a US citizen?
As I told you, US citizen, you can file for your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your husband, your wife, and your children, whether they are married or not. The process is a very simple process. For your parents, if they are back home in Ghana, you have to start with the I-130 petition. You submit evidence to show the relationship. In some cases, especially Ghana cases, they will ask for a DNA to show that you are actually the child of your parents. And when it is approved, you move on to what is called the visa, the Department of State process. That is where you do the process with the National Visa Center and file your affidavit of support, complete your DS forms, and wait until an interview date is set as the person goes to the interview in Ghana. So one will prove her, if they are in the US, you can go ahead and file both the I-130 and the adjustment of status if they came with a valid visa here. Whether it has expired or not, you can still file for them to get their green card here.
Okay. All right. Then Judy goes, can a Ghanaian resident student in Europe apply for a visitor visa to the USA?
The answer is yes. Anybody can apply for a visitor visa to visit the US.
Okay.
The question is whether they will receive the visa or not. Mind you, visitor visa is discretionary. If the consular officer feels like giving it to you, they will approve it. Most of the time, if you're a student studying abroad and you can show that, one, I am in school, two, I have a valid visa at where I am studying and I'm eligible to return back to that country, depending on also the country. If it's a first world country, it's easier than when it is a very, I would say, bad there type of country. Yes. So there's nothing wrong to try to apply for a visa, but it is not 100% proof that because I am a student in another country, when I apply, I'll get a visa to come.
So the last question on Zoom before we go to Facebook and YouTube, it says, this is from Charles. Please, can an H-1B visa holder apply for a green card?
So an H-1B visa holder is somebody who has received employment after studying in the US or who has been recruited by a US employer on an H-1B, which is a working visa status. This H-1B is valid for 3 years and renewable for another 3 years, making it 6 years. Whilst your H-1B is in force, your employer can decide to file a green card petition for you. It is not you, the H-1B holder, who decides that I am applying for green card. It is the employer who sponsors you for the green card process. So the answer is yes, if your employer decides that they want to apply for you to get your green card based on the H-1B, they can go ahead and do it. But H-1B also can marry and file through a marriage petition. H-1B who has a parent here, whose parent is a citizen, can also, or green card, can also petition for them. And if their visa number becomes available, they can also get the green card here in the United States.
Okay.
So it depends on your circumstances. The answer is yes, you can continue to become a permanent resident through H-1B process.
Beautiful. Kwame Chalula on Facebook says, I came to the United States with an F1 visa and I'm out of status now, which I am trying to reinstate. I applied for a new school, which I have been accepted, and I need to send my financial document for my sponsor to get my I-20. Must the sponsor have a specific amount in his bank account, or it is his income that matters?
So, he has two issues in his question. The first one is that he fell out of status by not maintaining his student status, and two, trying to reinstate. Once a student comes to the US and doesn't continue on with his F1 status or fails to continue or drop out of school, the school is required to report that student to the immigration. During Trump's time, most of the time, ICE, this is Immigration and Customs Enforcement, will pick up the student and process the student for deportation. Currently, if your student visa status is not maintained, they still report you to immigration system, and it is very difficult to reinstate. The school may reinstate it for you and give you a new I-20, but there must be a very valid reason why you couldn't continue, and the time period for you stopping the school has to be a very short one. If it's a long period of time, even when they issue you with your I-20, it is very risky for you to go outside the country to try to get the student visa to come back. Most of the time, your visa will be denied at the embassy. At the embassy. So it is not advisable if your student visa has elapsed to go back and try to apply to come back in.
Okay.
Hello, Mpacho. Na me say me question bi na
Mr. Prepare me Pacho to boss here live line send na obia be this so why Mr. Questions here about that Facebook any people are sending the questions and they be muso ayo into Mr. be do so why. Or they just keep your hand emoji in the app my why keep my into because me we did last two questions. We are Mariam Nekasa, Mariam we are Ruth Nekasa, na for the Michael Akasa na Fidelia so Akasa. Then after that Mr. Prepare you for why. Actually Mr. Prepare for before Fidelia or Bekasa after Michael because I think it's a war meeting Ekasa before why Mr. Question where you say I have my 2 years resident visa. I worked at Columbus. We just filed for the 10 years. Can I work in a different state, say New York, whilst I'm awaiting on the 10 years permanent stay?
Wow. So it is not a visa that you have. It's actually a green card. You have a conditional green card. Mm-hmm. The very simple question is that the application to remove condition on your green card is subject to immigration verification that your marriage is a genuine marriage. Mm-hmm. So if your marriage circumstances requires you to work in another state, but you can still prove that your marriage is a valid one, be my guest. You are not required to stay in the same location. But it is very difficult to also convince immigration that you live in Ohio with your wife and you work in New York. Mm-hmm. You have to show evidence of how you are able to maintain your matrimonial home whilst living apart. So it is always not advisable to live separate apart. Unless your job requires you to be at one place. Let's say you're a military officer, you are in a base where it is not a family base, the law will understand that. But other than that, it is quite suspicious that you are not in the same state and household as your spouse who actually petitioned for you to get your green card.
Okay.
I would not advise that.
Okay, lawyer. At this point, me pacho, bet me the number now, the number now to because people are really blowing my phone up for the information. No, for it is say all the number, the email, be my and that to now or more YouTube, Facebook, so I also have access to it. Then we go to the last question. Then after that, and now Mariam, I was on the question. Don't know, pacho number no.
Sure. So my office is the law office of Eric Oako. The address is at 299 Broadway, room number 1518, New York, 10007. It is actually directly opposite the immigration in Manhattan.
Okay.
The telephone number is 212-385-1144. And the email is info at edakunlaw.com.
Okay. Producer Winya. All right. Cool. So producer they didn't I better hold on. Now if we share it among all the portals. So question to say where if you bury my poku or bury my say how can one adopt a 16-year-old nephew from Ghana to the US? And I may have two questions, now you move on. Anna Osiako to say, can I know how long it will take to file for your son who is over 25? Osiako, I think so that question is already answered. So for time factor, I don't know. If you go back and replay the video now, you will hear that part. Sorry, pa. But yeah, answer very much enough there, Mariam, and answer the question, me pacho. Would you not watch it? Okay. Mm-hmm. No, the lawyer, Pache, in front of that problem. Hoya East Legon Hills. Me that's it. Question is person adopting a nephew, 16-year-old nephew from Ghana. And I know so the hate prevention has some issue with it. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Mariam, Pacho Omi to Honda Kasawai. What's I need to was here sometimes I would travel marry me that was a pa obi on man can answer the question but aka question if you marry me that was a Michelle Ruth me patch on mute on why Ruth patch on mute on why you your feedback Michelle
Advanced paro ka ho anasen ka ho.
okay yeah that's it I think Ruth the kasa sisi ad right patch on
Yes.
okay Michael the kasa the Michael kasa Michael so Michael on mute no there then let's go no Michael so the Michael you're ready there you call Fidelia me patch on mute on the kasa why
Yeah, me question in that. Beside concerning adoption.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. And if you like, young next person then so why me that say until you want if it's my why did I say a day New Jersey me pacho on so obeko we na lady smart about this show.
Good evening, dear.
Good
Me
evening.
pacho lawyer. Me question me about how many times
I don't me pacho me about. I don't pacho me about lawyer Michelle o email address na den info@edakunlaw.
Yes.
At
edakunlaw.com.
.com. Okay, cool. Don't me confirm because some people say email.com. Then I'm saying yes, but I wanted to confirm from you. Then me patch twice why.
Me pacho to say obi a worry back mienu miensa dodo ben otimi ohia ne dofo a ebi a wo Ghana na say ha no ni ne mo betimi a worry na. Second one ye madam for oye no ni kru na amfa lawyer. Wo mo call ye ne amfa ama no wante hwi bi besi ne na then so ye to no so what no mo ye no so obeko krom no kwa na me ka che ne senka wonko hu lawyer nti me bisa o se no then no betimi aye.
Okay. So your first question so obi aware ba ku mienu miensa obetumi aware no afile amobi ana immigration law unlimited obia how many times obetumi aware. Excuse me to say, immigration law and Catholic service I will call for confession. It is our no anko ye na se wajai na be worry for. There's nothing to stop you from getting married. However, say who worry now file it and as all worry now jai very frequent immigration for ebetumi question nientia oyesa and say ebase oni akono file ma on yan fama wa. The problem would be the reason why approval case no amount. I mean, of course, there's also a consequences for say obi aware no wako interview. The immigration for decided say aware no nyaware papa. So immigration decided say the marriage is a fake marriage or it was entered into for the sole purpose of getting immigration benefit. Then the law is that forever, if you marry again, they should not approve the case. So the consequences for marriage fraud is that once immigration make that determination that this marriage is fake or is fraud, whether you marry again and have 100 children with that person, immigration will not approve your subsequent case for you. But immigration for making that decision there, that's why you don't have number of marriage that you have to enter in order to have a cutoff. The same way, as I also file mobi, no worry baby. Immigration will not stop you from getting married again. Yenim yentia a mano and a memani ba one. But uko interviewer, one of the questions are definitely you will have to explain yentia sa our ready to ano ekobai. The second one is a wadamfo a worry one for lawyer and on process on case. Young farmer won't. Well, I will tell you one thing. Immigration law is a lot of volumes, and not even all the lawyers know everything about all the immigration laws. Inti, say, who decided say, well, be here, who case. Now I'm for lawyer. At Sanya, who baby or Yano decided to make a pharmacy, and I'm going to buy medication and drink it. We are lucky. You feel okay. When you're lucky. Now, Abia, you are actually buying the wrong medication for your sickness. And it is always good in this scenario, say, or consult lawyer, I know you're finding out that you're not crying the farmer one. And the farmer one, so then be able to me, yes, maybe I the amount. But the decided say on your home field, yeah, and yeah, there's nothing a lawyer can do if you don't consult.
Okay. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, Michael,
go ahead.
Yeah, quick one. Lawyer, but a follow-up question. What's a make about the extension? Yama and feared nine. But the same says high extension and fear nine. How much also we to get to quite but what future risk ben home so between this and fena no extension of fena akwaba.
The answer is simple. So, oh yeah, removal of condition now. Your amount extension letter, which is valid for currently up to 4 years. That document, you are allowed to travel back and forth with it. But there are some countries who the two we're not sure about it. And my advice, can be honest, it is always good to get a stamp in your passport. Most immigration officers abroad recognize stamp, And it's about ukutasa extension Nibia. Uber to me, I appointment with immigration was signed a stamp at your passport marker. And Uber to me, I go back and forth. Because he said, you bear okay, no, every
Me patcho stamp if I apply for
USCIS local office. Over friend, I appointment. Near stamp or passport more. Now to media and here evidence of your lawful status. Who to me the stamp no ye juma, who to me so the two coin.
Okay, you call Lady Smart. Lady Smart. Like I've been talking about 7:13 today. Don't mind me saying that. I'm Lady Smart.
That's a power information. They are my question is the my parents now back and forth now be Ghana so long na green card na no. Me patch or DNA a bit me a year ama after the obetimi asa baby.
Good. This question is a very, very good question, Lady Smart. Why are this our question? Because in Crawford, Elusu on green card because of staying away for more than the stipulated time. Under the law, we are green card holder. To me, enter outside the country for more than 6 months. I won't break your accrued time in the United States. Or 1 year. Green card status and you're affected. So the rule is that so you're a green card holder. For to count towards your citizenship, here either 5 years or 3 years. 5 years when you got your green card through other means. 3 years if you got your green card through marriage and you are still married to your spouse. Say 5 years now. Within 5 years, my sister will stay out of the country for more than 6 months. It is only COVID time, and because of say close to border, allow say we stay more than 6 months, the better. After that, you're fine, champion. Number 2, say we stay more than 1 year. Technically, green card I say no. So why am I back? Now say green card Ghana. You don't qualify to come with that green card. As a embassy, now permission to return to the US. So just permission now. No one checking who say more than 1 year. Without any genuine reason, you be denied visa application. I mean your application to return. That means it's a green card near DFU and some. Say be at the ISR. I just say some filing for problem and start of which me about back to the US.
Okay.
And it is always good not to overstay either 1 year or 6 months.
All right. Yeah, that's it. You bet my Mr. Pepaka. So Mr. Pepaka patron me to Hawaii Mefro. Also yeah, to me read the questions we are Mr. Pepaka, so we are near the key member chat to key member will be our last speaker now the chat to. Question about if you didn't come with a visa, can your citizen child file for you if you didn't come with a visa? No, I don't buy.
And Patrick will be across the border.
Oh, okay.
I didn't also buy one microphone buy and they didn't disclose that. So the answer can Oba
citizen.
When you file you see, the answer is no. Filing the Oba bit me file but under the current law, you are not going to be able to apply for green card. So when to me and show say you were inspected and admitted at the time I was America.
Okay.
If to me quiet obedient remo. Once I to me show proof that me the obi passport na buy didn't say I'm the buy they say I'm a buyer no. And I was inspected at the border. Yes. But
Okay.
when it's our cross border, ebe remu without anything. Oba, oh yes, citizen file ma any year. The only time wa cross border saba and I say obi di aba one kind of prayer. If it's me a green card, and I say be a green card holder or citizen, and you have been subjected to abuse. If you're able to prove, say, you have been subjected to abuse, then you don't have to go back home. Or number two, prove, say, before April 30th, 2001, you filed a petition with immigration. It was approvable at the time of filing. You will be what is called grandfather. Immigration for them who come away, all the application so ama obi fufuro atwa so ayama with a new petition. And apart from that, two circumstances. One, either say who petition I file before April 30th, 2001, I will be so. And I said two, we are married to a citizen or green card holder, I will abuse you. It will chrome her. Apart from that, two scenarios, no, Oba entering filing mount. Now, on some count criteria.
Okay. Osakoto say, can you transfer your application from Ghana to any other country and how?
In fact, recently people are actually transferring one interview, an application, the interview to other countries. And I will only share one story with you guys. Because of the backlog in Ghana for America, one of the countries in Africa. Kromhano, Edoson. The unfortunate part is that it has created a lot of waiting period for Ghanaians to get interview dates. And the Ghanaians have found a nice way to look at other areas close by or other countries to go for interview. If you're able to get an address there, and because we are dealing with ECOWAS visa, the passport, which allows you to travel within Africa or some of the ECOWAS countries, you can transfer your case. But I have a small story to share. A client contacted me. The interview was supposed to be in Ghana, but Omuvuni case, Echo Ivory Coast. Or do Ivory Coast, or go for interview. I saw call medical, Echo Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast medical officer, medical. No. If it's an say, one we dana. I see no, as you before anymore. Long story short, the medical officer, it throw in the medical reports, no more say, Abrantiana, it's your shoe.
Prejudice just like that?
Yadina in the case.
Okay,
so, the American a thief when say it's okay to transfer, but more transfer. More make sure, say, country now, or your personal will be new upon it because Ghanaian doctor will never do this. This is a case I am handling it today to show the injustice in the system.
Wow. Lawyer, but your quick question. Don't mean to interrupt. Do you have a picture of the guy?
No. And if I do, I won't tell you.
No. We're just kidding.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's unfortunate.
Yeah, so it is just advice. The moment you're careful with what we try to do.
Okay.
Microphobia pay like that.
Maybe Philip, or question the Mr. For lawyer normal than a friend why I think it's a little bit personal. If a lawyer normal than a friend, Isaac, what say? How can someone apply for a waiver? Isaac, for lawyer consulted now. I think your amount of details on how to go with the waiver. And I don't know if you talk about the VAWA or whatever waiver that you're applying for, or just contact lawyer. Cecilia says, is the lawyer's name Darko or Dark? Is Dark? Okay, yeah. Somebody has already responded.
Eric Oako.
And then Judy says, can you apply for a visitor's visa when they are filed for a green card already from Ghana?
The answer is yes, you can apply, but you have to tell the truth in your visa application.
Mr. Prepar.
If they choose to give it to you, fine.
Okay. Mr. Prepar, we are not Kibaba.
My question, but one of the questions has been answered already.
Now you see why it pays to wait.
The other one is Obi Eba Krumha as a visitor. Now or 2 years lottery ni be na udia. And no can he
The answer is a simple no. Once your visa has expired, me pa chomen tulo to no block for chance. You don't qualify to apply for the lotto here and get your green card. Or come back to Ghana, so you are subject to 10 years back. It won't be my back. It is only when you have a valid visa. Let's assume, say, we are a student, we are H1B holder, we are dependent of a student, who we know to how with me at your crack. But we say anywhere, the answer is no.
Na lawyer, so oyen krata. Na say odi lotos way. Abra wanim say.
Lotto no I expired. I mean, once the visa has expired, won't qualify for lotto.
Okay. All right. Key mama for you.
Yo, me da se mama me akwenya. Papa, friend me, what do you the kind any follow-up question. You be the better manim. Or Ghana near file man or Nikunu. And first one no more file and one farmer lawyer. For some reason, only a deny. You deny no one petition afe or call ye second one back to back and no the other my lawyer. Or the my lawyer no any a man a crata no and no back room ha. Into a back room ha or no the or yene juma. And I'm saying check and o jai aware na near back or coffin no buy no. O jana ware into o jana ware no. And oko ware fufro. So no do kita ni green card or yene juma oko ware fufro. And wow. And oye na jin say oh matre mu ache nti edu time me nkoye mi krom ha de na me ndani heni. Nti okoye no and show what system ni mu say ya deny no so many years time or mu na ya deny no. Nti that means you deny it twice. Nti no I'm say or say the lawyer say unfa documents say aware no worry any your papa. Oh yeah, bibia I'm saying obenya, but no so when like a fee or mutim address, bank statement, send your boss no. Into or draw a letter of like recommendation more munimuno. Or they call you no say your friend say nipa no ya deny no. Say omunyi ninti no the lawyer no say omobeko court. Okay, with that case, you know, nipa na oyema na ba ha na o kase. That means nipa no ware kra yem fama no. In this case, you know, it is the same scenario. In enso no, se nipa na anko ware bi obi wo fie, bo shi obi wa ha na o ware na ye de kata ne be man.
Kimama, a question here extremely difficult to unravel, but let me help you to simplify the question. Only I couldn't worry back. And only I could file your filing man, yeah, prove a man.
Same person.
And same person or sign a second time, a man.
Yes.
And yeah, prove man.
Yes.
Once I hear the same person, if you are able to overcome the reason for the first denial, there's nothing wrong. And it is funny, sir, immigration, so why are you papa? But you are still with the person. What no grandpa go ahead? I will back. You can still file and be able to get your case and say deny case. I will your papa.
No, papa for so ha nyone na wo no se ono wa ko ware fufuru. Ina nyane ne ba we ja no.
You know her. So if the immigration decides to your papa, the best way to prove it is that I'm still with the person and we have everything to show say hey papa. That's number one. Number two, Obia file man, Obia rare krumhan, weja ware, and wako ware obi fufro. Now, immigration for I decided say, sir, our rene the ma wono, ye mono, nanya our papa. So what remu did that? If you're already in the US, then the court will say, sir, submit evidence to show say waware no na papa. If you're able to show evidence, say, near Uware ya odibe remu no na papa. immigration will give your paper back to you according to what you are telling me. Or any evidence in our still won't say enya papa. This means to say, end up removal proceedings, immigration court, and have another chance to show to the court say, Mawariano ne papa. In fact, in that type of proceedings, you can even call witnesses to come and testify about the marriage, produce everything to show. Or headed towards removal order and deportation order.
Okay. Lawyer,
okay,
yeah, that's it.
Kimama. Say, into your worry, no. Say, no, so sa clause now can't say, or why you be cry, young farmer, no, affecting the panasa.
Yes, until so, no case. And then we're winning. Want to mean pass it before from or before from. One casano, you are grown, mostly, I come and you're back, make a fool before fraud in a
I cannot
say possible. Okay? Until so, no case, no, is one. And yet, dear, or filing will be a debamonia.
Okay, lawyer, yeah, that's it. Keep on that's it. Lawyer, Mr. With you being asked for you, so Joshua, my whole question, or iPhone, my whole question. iPhone, then there's a whole process you want to know. So please contact lawyer and information the producer there to hold them know. And Joshua, also questions and my lawyer, Mr. Contact the lawyer for consultations. And please, Joseph or say, Mr. So then be quick 30 seconds, Mr. Busanai lawyer, sorry, I'm trying to in front of saying serve everybody, but at the same time, no, we have to be cautious of the time. Yes, or Chinebium, most also demand the band of friend or share time will be divided or share so yes, our time, them a bear dear my the madam for be a or say, Chabu, we need 30 minutes. I mean, to me, you'll be in income, but I mean, that mean 30 minutes, but more as what it's a Mr. Pacho, Joe, you're then a quick by a while, Mr. Nafidel, you're sorry, so me.
Oh, okay, me a quick lawyer. Me, my son, Busana say, so far, my sister, now brother from Ghana to USA. It be taking how many years now, Waba?
Currently, it is taking about 10 to 14 years. And I do not so. But and yet fixed in stone. Meaning, say, period na sometimes I couldn't, sometimes I benefit. But if we are to give an approximate time, I can say at least 10 years in a BD.
Is it the same for a mother filing for a bar wedding over 21 years?
No. A bar wedding more than 21 years. Eba eja unianum.
Okay. Yeah, but on years no my on years near them. Also, well, to me by years not right. On years in Bezay.
So I finally I'm so obi worry for a US citizen married child. It takes between currently is about 10 to 8 years.
8 to 10 years. Okay.
And then your brother and sister is more than 10 years. Actually.
Okay. Yeah, that's a lawyer. Yeah, that was a final word. Summarize BBI my and FDA. Yes, sir, you made it. So, Mr. Before Besano, Besaso can we be some lawyer information here. Law Office of Eric Oako, New York, number near 212-385-1144. And then the email address there info@edarkonlaw.com. Mr. Obet my email no, obet my friend no, and obet my message no. Schedule an appointment with him for a consultation. Now for the BBI go to now the personal questions then we tell her answer no to all personal question. Now for the when you anu na whatever you have to file, whatever you have to go through with that process, we'll go through. More possible contact and so Ghana with case above Ghana and US no. The good thing about him is we to be practicing both countries so come lawyer will find out words, summarize everything for us, then I feel the Yenja or Quine director and sign out.
Sure. So Niamakacha at when is the immigration process is a very complex one. Until we say a complex, no, not sometimes I too late. So it is always good, even if you are not going to hire a lawyer, at least consult a lawyer before you embark on the journey to make sure that you are not making any mistakes along the way. Because once I obey a mistake or immigration process, no, to correct it is a little bit difficult. Number two, we may need to correct in our immigration processes. So when you create our immigration more, it actually gives you a bigger hurdle to clear. ma process den and I ain't mean canning but I have scenarios and for a very good case. And so small and throw out DNT, not case in I affected. One simple way, obey the birth certificate command immigration. Date near 1967. Or where 67, no, not Bomodian or the ink, FR7, no more, no, 9. No, 1969. That alone is considered to be fraud because official documents won't mean for pen and camo. So there are so many little things you can do to mess up your case. And I would say, sir, seeking advice is good. Final one, in fact, your money advice from a competent person. There are people who fill forms. They were outside. What is the lawyer who here where your forms who fill it? Immigration will tell you, sir, the wrong help will hurt you. Ain't it? We're making sure, sir, you are seeking help from the right sources because the law changes very frequently. The immigration lawyers are you practice the law no. If you don't keep up with studying it, you will see, sir, what you did a few months ago has changed to something different. And seeking advice, being truthful, and telling the truth in your applications is very essential to winning your case.
Okay.
Thank you.
Lawyer, that's it. But before I say Director Bebano, we were two requests now. One, so when you must send the bejina so the debu attain. Say, Oka be said, there never born my your proceedings, the born my wrong. Where the work here was baby, me payment be sorry, be person kababa. No, I bet change some of the things that we do are my case are going wrong. Now yet me go to the right process by consulting a lawyer to do it. Me sure say a request a bit me now from one now.
Mate,
and our second one, no, also a PI, me personal injury.
Yes.
Into know there are a lot of Ghanaians and I say Africans who are actually suffering from work injuries and I say car accidents, and they've never been given the right opportunity to get what is rightfully belongs to them. To be sure, those two topics will be something that we would like to treat before say the end of the year and mid-year. To be sure, on behalf of our viewers and our loyal viewers and listeners, if a person will be a show schedule it's made this educated. Director, sign out my
Thank you.
Yes.
But some of the question, bro, now Patrick State been now practicing.
Me was New York. So me practicing in New York, but for immigration purposes, me hear all the 50 states.
Okay.
And for state law, I do New York state law.
Okay.
And if it is a immigration matter, it doesn't matter where you are. But if it is state-related case, in addition to immigration, I do personal injury, I do matrimonial, I do family court, I do corporate law and different areas of law as well.
Uncle Jimmy.
Thank you, lawyer.
For Ghana, my office is also a general practice, and most of the time, we are also listed with the U.S. Embassy. Okay, echo the U.S. Embassy, and that's how we can help her. If you look at the lawyers and the U.S. Embassy, you'll find Darko Law Firm there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Uncle Jimmy, sorry the message you call you for me.
Oh, me about personal.
Sorry. Number few hundred that not flat. It's number few hundred that. Director, sign out by.
First of all, lawyer Darcy, thank you so much. Clearly you're still at work, and thank you so much for making the time. PK, thanks for bringing.
Director, what camera
we would love to bring you back. I know that.
Oh.
We'd love to bring you back at some point. So what time? But yeah, that was papa. Thank you so much. And more importantly, thanks everyone for coming. Today we have, I think PK, we hit 90 something, right?
98.
98 exactly. So
just
next
also.
time I got two. But again, this is one of the biggest turnout.
Director, I know why you're doing.
Thank you, Maxwell. Again, thank you so much. Thank you so much. We'll be more than happy to have you back.
You're welcome.
All right. Lawyer, that was in Yamisha. Ebusia for lawyer Eric Oako, any attendant a product of Ghana Secondary School, and he's making waves in US law and Ghana law and doing very well for himself. Number one, next week, we're going to talk about life in military and life after the military. It's a miserable because there are so many questions people ask. There are a lot of veterans that are struggling, trying to make it in life. And again, Leo Chidako has been with us like with HITV from day one. When we started, he used to grant us, shows and everything. So we are very grateful to have him back after some years to make this happen. We also have some lawyers in line that will also be bringing them on board as well. And all I'm saying is say, you guys have been very phenomenal, and please let's keep it up and keep doing what we're doing. At this point, a time with Taptap Send Q&A. And you do so no. So any questions, any concerns, I always tell people, right? Oh, friend me. Thursday, Friday, make a trust Monday, brush show this. So Saturday, Sunday, brush show this. So because Opa show this, so this is where your problems get solved right on the spot after the educational part, and all we do over here is educational purposes with on this particular segment. To the what question be a concerning Taptap Send or app or account, anything, please. This is the time to go ahead and just director before see I want to say one more Facebook than YouTube. No. At this point, we are signing out on Facebook and YouTube into the Brazum. So now I feel the questions concerning Taptap Send.